The concept of building your credit is simple, but since it's so simple, you can mess it up just as easily without even realizing it.
Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Philip.
And we teach you what you need to know about your personal finances using words that you can understand without boring you to death.
Because adulting shouldn't suck. If you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button, and in the comments below, let us know if you've started building your credit or not.
In this video, you're going to learn how to increase your credit score, what to do when you're first starting out, and if you stick around till the end, we're going to debunk some myths about credit cards. In my early 20s, I absolutely destroyed my credit. And then by the time I was 25, my credit was like mid 500s, and I was pretty embarrassed about it. Made my life a lot harder having a bad credit score. And then I worked on it, and by the time I was in my late 20s, 29, 30-ish, I finally had a good enough credit score to buy a house, and it was around like a 640. Now, 5 years later, I have an 800 credit score, but it took me over 10 years to fix the damage that I had done in my early 20s because I had no idea what I was doing.
While Alex sucked with his credit when he was young, I didn't do too bad. When I was 20, I had around a 750 credit score, and I bought my first house. After about a year or two, I had banks starting to contact me, asking me to refinance my loans with them at a lower interest rate because my credit score was close to an 800.
Your credit score shows the banks how responsible you are with the money that you owe. Credit ranges from a 300 at worst to an 850 at the very best. When you have above a 740, there's not a whole lot of difference there because you're going to get the best interest rates that the banks offer. When you have a low credit score, you're seen as a higher risk to the banks because you're more likely to default on your loans or credit that they give you. Because of that, you are charged a higher interest rate because you bring an added risk to the bank with your low credit score. Worst case scenario, the banks are just going to deny you credit, especially when you have no credit to begin with. Higher credit scores are safer for the bank, and they'll charge you less interest because you're less of a risk, which saves you money.
Fun facts. According to Credit Karma, the average college student has 3 credit cards. The average credit score for an 18 to 24-year-old is a 630. The average credit score for a 25 to 30-year-old is a 628. It actually goes down 2 points. 30 to 39-year-olds' average credit score is a 678, because they finally start to get that adulting thing figured out. 40 to 49-year-olds have an average credit score of 685, which is pretty good. And when you're in your 50s, it starts to go down.
The credit bureaus are the ones who use your history to determine your credit score. There's 3 different bureaus. There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The credit bureaus are the ones who determine your credit score, not the banks.
The banks are the ones that report whether or not you paid on time to the credit bureau.
There's 5 key factors that are going to affect your credit score. The first one being the length of history, which is roughly 15% of your overall score. So what you want to do is get a credit card right away rather than waiting, because the longer the history is that you have, the higher your credit score is going to be.
Key factor number 2, balance to limit ratio. This is what you use on your credit card versus what you have available to use. This makes up 30% of your credit score, which is convenient because you want to keep your balance on your credit card below 30%. That's the rule of thumb. If you can, 10% is the goal.
The third key factor is making on-time payments. It's the largest chunk of your overall credit score, and it amounts to roughly 35%. So you need to make sure that you pay your bills on time every month. Do yourself a favor and set it up for auto pay, because if you get this part wrong, it's going to hurt your credit the most.
Didn't you just do that? Like, not set someone up for auto pay?
Yeah. I just got a credit card, another one, and totally forgot to set it up for auto pay. Yeah, got a late fee. Called the bank, though, and I was like, hey, I want this reversed. I haven't made a late payment in over 8 years. Make this go away. So they did, and then I immediately set it up for auto pay, and I took my own advice.
Adulting.
So keep in mind that if you make a late payment, it's going to stay on your credit for 7 years.
That's this many.
So make sure you don't screw up. Set up auto payment, and that way you don't forget like I did. But if you do forget, usually they'll forgive you once, and that's it. After that, sucks to be you. 7 years is a long time.
Key factor number 4, having a mixed variety of credit. This makes up 10% of your credit score with the credit bureau. Different types of credit include credit cards, mortgages, personal loans, auto loans, that type of stuff. It shows that you're responsible for paying your bills.
Key factor number 5 is new accounts or new inquiries, which makes up roughly 10% of your overall credit score. Banks don't like to see a lot of new inquiries because it looks like you're trying to grab up as much credit as possible, which can be a pretty big red flag.
When you're first starting out, you should get a secured credit card. This is where you give the bank money and they hold on to that money as collateral just in case you don't pay your bills. Typically, the deposit's going to be anywhere from $300 to $500. You want to keep your balance on your credit card as minimal as possible. You can do this by adding something like Hulu or Netflix or Spotify to that credit card and having it pay off automatically every single month.
You shouldn't have to pay any interest to build up your credit score. What you need to do is pay it on time, in full, for 4 to 8 months, and then you're going to build up some credit history. Next, I recommend applying for a Capital One unsecured credit card. This is the process that I had to go through after I destroyed my credit in my early 20s. I was able to move from a secured credit card to an unsecured credit card with a $500 limit. This same method can be used to build new credit for the first time or repair damaged credit. It's very important to not get carried away and start spending more money than you normally would. That defeats the whole purpose of developing healthy habits for credit cards.
Eventually, you can sign up for a credit card that gets rewards. Gives you rewards. Eventually, you can sign up for a credit card that gets you rewards, like cash back, free airfare, hotels, and rental cars.
Take over the world.
Boom, America. There's also some more techniques that you can use to get more advanced strategy stuff that I'm supposed to be talking about that I'm not even going to say anymore. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it. Eventually, you can sign up for a credit card that gets rewards, gives you rewards, gives you things.
Lots of things like hotels, airline tickets, rental cars, cash back. But you don't need to worry about this stuff right now because there are more advanced techniques. If you want to know how to build your credit, check out the link below, or check out the description in the link below.
Those things that he said because I couldn't do it.
You ready?
Always.
Here's the thing you've been waiting for.
Here's the thing you've been waiting for. Debunking the myths about credit. The first one is you need to pay interest in order to increase your credit score.
That's dumb as
Do not pay money in interest. Pay that ish off every month.
Every month. Myth number 2.
checking your credit will hurt your credit. That's wrong. Credit Karma's free. Don't messes up your credit. No, neither.
You can check it every day if you want.
Every day.
It ain't gonna hurt
Not once.
at all. Myth number 3. Having too many credit cards is bad.
Wrong.
Actually, the opposite is true. The more credit you have available to you, the easier it is to stay under that 30% balance to limit ratio.
Fact.
So, here's an example. If you have a $3,000 limit and you spend $1,000, you're already at 33%. Whereas if you have a $10,000 limit and you spend $1,000, you're only at 10% balance to limit ratio.
AKA utilization rate.
And just because you have that $10,000 balance doesn't mean you need to go spend more money. Be smart about it.
Smart.
Pay it off
Adulting.
every month.
Word.
Stuff.
The last myth we're debunking is to close unused credit card accounts.
You don't want to do that.
Bad juju. You don't want to close unused credit card accounts because you lose all your credit history with that credit card. I've had a credit card since I was 18. I don't use it anymore. It's got a zero balance on it, but I've had it for like 12 years now. The more credit history you have, the higher your credit score is going to be.
If he were to close that card, he would lose all that history. Gone. Up in smoke.
It's really that simple. You put a little bit on the credit card, you pay that credit card off every month, you pay it on time. After a while, get another credit card, rinse and repeat, do the same thing. Build your credit, being an adult. That simple. If you liked our video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. In the comments below, let us know if you have any questions. I forgot what I was going to say.
And share with your
And
friends.
share stuff. If you have friends.